One of the only questions people asked us here in the media, and you would go outside of office, and when you meet people in public, at functions, at events, even at home sometimes, they would ask you that question, did we really lose jets? Who lost jets? How many jets did Pakistani Air Force lose? Now, there is a number to it, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time, it's official, and you can't contest these numbers. The Indian Air Force has gone on record saying 5 Pakistani fighter jets were shot down along with one plane which is meant for advanced warning and air surveillance. And AWACS system planes were shot down along with 5 jets. 5 jets were brought down by the S-400. That's a big statement. I have Major General Sudhakar Jee joining us on this edition of the podcast on republicworld.com. To put this in perspective, General Sudhakar Jee, thank you for joining us, sir. This is a big statement. It just settles the debate once and for all.
Niranjan, firstly, thank you so much for having invited me for this podcast. And a little while back, we are on the channel, we are talking about it. There are many issues which actually misses the eye. We get, and in fact, the audience doesn't have so much time to glean into the details and go into the finer aspects. It is definitely a big statement. And I'm convinced, as an ex-general of Indian Army or retired as a veteran, there is much more news yet to come. It is only 5. As per my understanding, I was not present here during Operation Sindoor. I was traveling abroad, and the research I have gone into, I'm convinced that people do not know much about Operation Sindoor. Maybe people don't know that there was an infighting between the Pakistan Air Chief and the Army Chief. Maybe people don't know that the air defense resources, whenever they are deployed by any country, unlike what happened in India, it is the most classic example of modern 21st century military warfare, where all the air defense resources were integrated under one command and control agency of Indian Air Force.
Yeah.
Pakistan, it did not happen. The resources which were there with the army, Pakistan Army, they did not part with the resources to the Pakistan Air Force, 1. Number 2, because they did not part with the resources, it actually failed to meet the integration goals. Since the integration goals were actually not met, number 3, there is a lower altitude gap. That gap was identified by the People's Liberation Army from 100 to 1,000 meters in the sky. This gap, the loitering ammunition drones they make use of, they come inside and they engage the targets, precision targets. This gap was left open by Pakistan. None of the terrorist camps or the logistics bases had any kind of air defense cover, although Bahawalpur, it was very close to the airport, 5 kilometers from the airport, 135 kilometers from the IV. Despite having had SQ-9 and other air defense resources, still they could not, because it was a matter of lack of integration. Yeah. Last but not the least, I would say, kudos to our armed forces. They have done a commendable job. I am telling you, in days ahead, such disclosures by very apex leaders will be coming forth. As per my calculation, it is almost about close to 20 aircrafts which have been damaged or destroyed because of very accurate and precision engagement by the Indian Armed Forces, both, all the 3 services, Army, Navy, and the Air Force together, all of them, including some of the elements which are indicative of our standoff kinetic means, indication of strategic forces also having applied the rocket elements particularly. So therefore, to actually respond to your question in one line, as per my calculation, there are many more details yet to come.
Okay. Can I stick my neck out and ask you, what are those details you're expecting? Is it also, you mentioned a number, you said it could be up to 20 jets. Now we know that 6 is the number of planes that is on record. The Indian Air Force is saying 5 fighter jets, 1 AWACS plane. And we've seen those satellite images of a hangar being hit. A hangar with fighter jet / air warning system planes being hit in Pakistan. Different airfields were hit, right? Now, what is this information that you feel is yet to come? Why don't you stick your neck out and say it?
Well, if push comes to shove, since you want me to come out with all the details, there are 3 air bases which have been hit. Bulari is an airfield where they have F-16. They also have this latest aircraft, JF-17.
Correct.
And as per my input, which I have got, the almost close to 6 aircrafts have been destroyed. Similarly, in Sargodha, as also Chagai airfield, close to the nuclear base, there
Yes.
are good number of almost about 5 to 6 aircrafts have been destroyed. Also, I am given to understand as per my calculation, there are more than one AVACs which have been destroyed, more than one. So all these figures will gradually keep coming out because we are corroborating with the inputs because the people are inside our country are very, very dangerous. If you do not give them substantive evidence, then they are the ones who will be actually splitting hair and asking such details which may compromise, in fact, our information or intelligence acquisition system. So these are all corroborated by multiple
Yeah.
sources, the human intelligence, the satellite intelligence, surveillance capability, the drone warfare, drone surveillance platforms, etc., etc.
Can
So
I-
therefore, suffice to say at the
Yeah.
moment, Niranjan, let's be happy and satisfied with this, that the decimation has been huge and unprecedented. It has been a very decisive kind of offensive, which Pakistan will not be able to understand till say about maybe another 9 months or 1 year. They will still carrying out the bin counts and all. And they themselves have got such a kind of a shock in their life. They actually thought that perhaps a nuclear attack had taken place.
Yeah.
Some of them, particularly the Noor Khan attack which took place, it was although from our side a very, very decisive, very precise engagement based on accurate intelligence, pinpointed target, surgical kind of a strike, yet it happened so close to the headquarters, Rawalpindi. Okay, and everyone thought perhaps the army headquarters is going to be decimated or destroyed, and also the political leadership is not very far away. Islamabad is not very far off from Noor Khan, by the way. So they themselves were getting jitters that possibly the target is going to be the headquarters. They actually saw nightmares.
So-
And next, as per their anticipation,
Yeah.
they had appreciated what after this, when the escalation matrix was going up from one ladder to another ladder,
Yeah.
they had actually expected that the CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the dual use assets, they call it as civilian assets, but primarily they're building up for the military application or the deployment of the troops. They're the ones they're likely to be engaged.
Sir.
There are many things, but in your podcast, you may not have so much of time. But suffice to say that Pakistan has actually got such jitters this time during Operation Sindoor that they will have to think not twice, multiple times before they start preparing and orchestrating a thing like Pahalgam 2. I'm not saying it will not happen. They will do.
Pahalgam
Because
2.
Pakistan
Okay, 1
cannot
minute.
survive as a nation without the proxy war.
1 minute, sir. You mentioned Pahalgam too. I won't get into that. But I want to ask you, you have this confirmation that a Pakistan F-16 was hit. Pakistan F-16. F-16s manufactured by the US were destroyed. Now the entire warfare, sadly, many Indian political parties within also fell for that warfare. They were asking, did we lose Rafales? Government must declare how many Rafales we lost. Rafale. They made it about India and our armed forces. Now we have confirmation that Pakistan F-16s manufactured by America have been hit. In the current geopolitical context, right, when we are facing off with America, they have cancellations from the Swiss are thinking twice, may not purchase F-35. Spain has decided not to go ahead with F-35, and the F-16s are being hit. It is the worst time for the American aviation industry. Boeing orders are being cancelled. Now, in this context, if F-16s have been destroyed, and of course, it's on record now, the Indian Air Force chief has said it. In the geopolitical context, what does this mean for America?
Well, geopolitics has got a different connotation. America is going through a very huge churn and turbulent time, if you ask me. I only hope and pray that the leadership calms down and thinks through with all the decisions that he is applying across the world for all the countries. Tariff is not going to give him any kind of turnaround in the economic debacle which the country is going through. Now, coming to the geopolitics and America, I personally feel that there is a huge churn. Post-pandemic, we had Russia-Ukraine war. 24th of February, Russia invaded Ukraine. There is a reason behind it as to why did Russia do it. And after some time, we had the Hamas unprecedented attack for the first time in the military science, a non-state actor, blacking out the electromagnetic spectrum from 6:30 in the morning till 6:50 for 20 minutes, and that is the window when or multi-domain attacks were carried out on the headquarters or on the celebration sites of the Israel against the most formidable army or the armed forces of the world. And that after that happened, it is for the first time the Iran struck directly on Israel. It has never happened in the history of this Cold War 1.0 and Cold War 2.0. I would say these are the massive turning points. And also, let me highlight one aspect that the Mossad carried out the pager attack and icon attack against the Hezbollah. Hezbollah is no mean small little terrorist organization. It is the most battle-hardened and fully trained terrorist organization. So giving this backdrop, I personally feel first and foremost thing is that there is a double standard by the geopolitical leaders in the world, number one. Number two, the transatlantic relationship is collapsing. When I say transatlantic relationship, what it means is the America, Canada across Atlantic, and this side you have UK and the European Union. The so-called the global leader or the global power as on today is demanding unipolarity, which is being contested by China. China is demanding for bipolarity, and India is one of the few countries which is actually, claiming that it is a phase and new era has come for multipolarity. So these are the contradictions and these are the divisions which are actually keeping poles apart, and as a result, there is a polycentric world actually giving rise to kind of unpredictability and uncertainties which is to prevail during World War I and World War II. That led to kinds of conflicts which are avoidable. Therefore, time has come in 21st century. We need to actually calm down and see as to how diplomacy and dialogue can be applied and peace and harmony can be brought back to some kind of to achieve normalcy in the world order. Back to you, Nish.
So, my last question to you is, with the opposition, a statement was made by the Indian Air Force Chief today as well, Air Chief, when he said that we have buried the ghosts of Balakot. It's sad that we couldn't convince our own people. He said we couldn't convince our own people, but this time we were prepared, right? We saw those videos, those beautifully captured videos of the strikes. They were ready. They went in with cameras and we have proof, right? So obviously the opposition couldn't contest it. Even though they tried to, they contested some of the facts. But if the chief of the Indian Air Force has to come out and say it's sad that we couldn't convince our own people, it's such a pathetic story on our political system. It is so sad that he had to come out and say that our own people were not convinced.
This is the most unfortunate thing happening, when your own countrymen start doubting the confidentiality and start losing faith in the armed forces, or words to that effect, for lack of correct expression, I am saying this. This is the most unfortunate thing happening, and they are playing into the hands of an organization called as United Front Works Department. United Front Works Department is a Chinese organization which came into existence in 1922 during Chao Enlai, Mao Zedong's era, and it was revived post 5th August 2019 when Article 370 and 35 Alpha were abrogated and the funding, the budget allocation got a quantum jump. Their basic job is to do what our opposition is doing today. So that is what is very alarming. And let me also remind our viewers that no country, nowhere in the world ever in military science is it ever taught that when you go and attack an objective or a target, you don't move around with the camera to take pictures about the damage assessment. You are there to save your backside because the enemy would be soon carrying out counter bombardment. You are there to modify defenses, how to protect yourself. You are there to send out the patrols, redeploy your guns, point the guns towards the enemy, and likewise, if you're going in for a hybrid kind of an operation, if there is an ambush site, then you quickly abandon the place and not stay on there. So you have no time for pictures. And third and most important thing, let me also share very quickly, in 1962 when the operations took place, China took almost about more than 35 years. In 1996 is the time, approximately, roughly this is the timeline coming to my mind, that they had disclosed officially the actual losses of men and material. Although it was posted for a very short time in the media, they had taken it out. But look at a kind of a rising power China. Has Ukraine ever come out with official data and told as to how many aircrafts or tanks or the men they lost? Has Russia ever come out and told you or told the world that so many aircrafts or the ships have been lost? Has Netanyahu or the Israel army or the Iran or any of the non-state actors officially come out and announced in public forum that they have lost so many weapons and ammunition? My only contention and submission to our public in the country is that this is a domain of the expertise. Leave it to the armed forces. Do not compromise security by asking such questions. Yeah. Therefore, my countrymen, through you, Niranjan, I very thankfully have given me this opportunity. Let's not compromise the national security. Let's not lose trust of our people who have been given the very responsibility to protect us. Let's not ask those questions in the parliament which will make our soldiers in the front line turn back and ask, is it that their sincerity and dedication being questioned by the countrymen? Ask as to what you can do for the country, not what country can do for you.
Thank you, General Sudhakar Jee, for joining us on this broadcast. It's a very big statement and it settles the debate. 5 Pakistani fighter jets and 1 air surveillance plane also shot down. That's 6 on record. Many, many more Pakistani air assets have been destroyed. According to most experts, we're expecting some more revelations on Operation Sindoor in the next few days. Thank you, sir, for joining us on this broadcast.
Thank you, Niranjan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.